Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Rad Tea Party. I am your Rad Hatter host, Kirk from walruscarp.com, giving you the best hacks, snacks, and fun facts of Walt Disney World. Here we are coming live from Hollywood Studios. Got something a little special tonight because I'm bringing back an oldie but a goodie, Carrie, who is a cast member from Disneyland who has an account called Cosplaycooking, and where she makes and recreates recipes within the parks. She also has, as she has an active cast member, great stories, including she is a history geek like me. We've done multiple episodes before, including the Kungaloosh cocktail from the Extinct Adventurers Club. Let's do the roundup on everybody before we bring in Carrie. But tonight she is going to help recreate the 50th cocktail, the Magical Beacon, which is glowing over here for me. So Allison, Gary, Andrew, Justin, I saw Holly in here too. I think I caught everybody. I might have missed anybody, but thank you so much for joining us at the Rad Tea Party. Mr. Mark, be my Valentine, can you do me a favor and bring up Miss Carrie so we can properly introduce her? Hey, Steve. So this is Hello, Carrie.
Hello.
So, Carrie, do you want to give a quick intro to who you are or what you do for the company, or a little bit of just about Cosplaycooking, whatever you want to do? It is your time to plug before we get into making a homemade cocktail at home so you can enjoy some of the magic at home. And I picked this bad boy up from the Brown Derby Cafe over here in Disney's Hollywood Studios, which we will take a gander and walk around as well. So, Carrie, without further ado, the floor is yours.
I'm Carrie. So I won't go into too terribly much what I do for Disney, but I've been a cast member for, including my time away during the pandemic, for about 16 years. A big part of what I do involves knowing a lot about Disney history, which is something that I do both in my outside life as well as something that I do at work. Short of the long, I do a lot of arts integration and education things. I won't go too far into it because that gets into a weird territory of what I can share.
Share us all the stuff that'll get you fired. Just kidding.
Yeah, sure. If you want to look it up, it's something called Disney's Imagination Campus. So they're on Instagram and they're on Facebook. So if you want to know more about it, it's there. But because of the context of what we're doing, I won't go too far into my actual job. So
all good. So Carrie, tonight we elected to reconvene because we haven't done one of these. We used to do these on Instagram Live many moons ago before I had moved down here to Florida. So it's super awesome to be on the new format on YouTube. So thank you for joining the show. Tonight we are making the 50th exclusive cocktail that you can now make at home with our friends Carrie. Carrie, do you want to, I can start talking ingredients or where this is located. You want to flow this?
If you want to be talking about ingredients, from what I understand, because I won't be in Florida for a couple more weeks, which excited. I haven't been since pre-pandemic. So it's a gin-based cocktail. Something that I've realized with these kind of drinks that go everywhere throughout the resort, unless it specifically states what gin or what bourbon or whatnot is utilized, I've noticed that sometimes from bar to bar it does tend to change. Some bars only carry specific brands. So the brand that I'm using today is Hendrick's because I know it's one that's commonly used throughout Disney. So just for reference, that's what I'm using.
Now, I'll be upfront with you. Hendrick's is more of a cucumber-forward botanical,
yes,
which I love. I love Hendrick's. It's my favorite gin. However, the one they actually use here is Emperor, which is just a little bit more cleaner. So you're going to get more of like a juniper note from that, or at least that's what I'm getting out of this. But any gin will do. This is a gin cocktail, so you're talking about gin. The major mixer here is going to be lemonade. You also have a, what's the syrup in there?
Hibiscus syrup is what they use, which is nice because that's what helps to give it that really super intense color.
Which, Carrie, didn't you have to make that at home?
I did. So if you ever want to make it, because you can buy it through Amazon, but to be totally honest, it's kind of really pricey. So if you look up, you can get dried hibiscus flowers. They also sell them under the name of Jamaica, which if you're making that Mexican drink, that's what it is. It's basically that syrup, and then you add in water or soda water, depending on how you like it. So when I make it, I just do by volume the same amount of I do 1 part water, 1 part of the flowers, and then depending on how sweet you like things, I do about 2/3 part sugar. So I go and I simmer the flowers with the water until the flowers are good and soft. Then I go and I turn off the heat, pour in the sugar until the sugar dissolves. You strain it out, and you end up with this really gorgeous looking syrup.
Yep, which this is pretty much a good recipe for how to make any kind of infused simple syrup if you want to make like a syrup at home. So let's say, for example, you are a violet sake fan. Well, you could make your own desert pear syrup using that, or your own violet Monin syrup at home as well, using the exact same thing. And this is definitely lends, Gary, you're asking balance-wise. I think this lends itself more on the sweet side. But Carrie, why don't we jump into some parts? How many parts? And let's mix this bad boy up so you and I can try it at the exact same time, although I cheated and already started drinking.
First thing I'm going to tell you is that what you're going to see me making is a double batch, because I realized I can't be a jerk and not make one for my husband as well. So,
which your husband used to work for the company too, right?
Shaken drink, which Kirk confirmed for me earlier. I was pretty sure shaken. I'm stirring it today for one purpose and one purpose only, because I want you to see how absolutely gorgeous the color is. The first time I made it, I will let you know that I did in fact shake it. Also, a tasting note is that they do tend to use over at the resort Minute Maid light lemonade, which tends to have a little bit of a different flavor. So if you want something that isn't as tart, the light lemonade tends to be a little less tart. I like it a little more on the tart side.
Yeah, this actually came out of the gun. So this is a straight up fountain style Minute Maid lemonade. That's exactly what Carrie's talking about.
The other thing, real quick, if you also want to make it very similar to how they do it at the resort, so I'm using Hendrix, which I like the cucumber forwardness for this one. But if you're looking also for one that's really clean, another one they tend to use is Plymouth.
Oh yeah, Plymouth is a great, very, very crisp, clean gin. Aviation is another good one, but Plymouth's actually a little bit more affordable too.
What?
It's more affordable than some of the other ones. So
Aviation is a really there's a battle in our house. I prefer Aviation and my husband prefers Plymouth. It's one of the very few things we don't agree on. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started.
He would appreciate this. I just got off the Speedway not that long ago, which I know we could wax poetic about whether the Speedway should change to being electric or not, and how impossibly unfeasible that is. But I digress. We won't get into that because I know he gets all heated about it.
Oh yeah, it's it's a lot. Oh yeah, there's a couple things that he will go on. He's in the other room. He's working on actually some Disney World photos. Actually, true story.
Very cool.
We'll start out with I got 2 ounces of gin, or in my case 4. And then to that, we got 3 ounces of the lemonade. Now, one of my flexes at home is I make everything from scratch. What?
No, you just make me laugh. One of my flexes. I love it.
It is. I like that. Yeah. If you want to sound super bougie, the lemonade came from lemons from my father-in-law's tree. There you go. That's about as.
That is a flex.
We got almond syrup. I got 1/4 ounce of almond syrup. It's listed as Ogret, which is the same exact thing.
Ogret you see a lot in tiki cocktails. So if you ever go over to Trader Sam's, they use that a lot in their cocktails.
Oh yeah, and if for some reason I know some people don't tend to keep almond syrup around, and I've heard people think, well, I could substitute that with amaretto because amaretto is an almond flavor. Most amarettos are actually distilled from peach pits and only have a slight almond flavor. So if you are using that, just be aware you won't have the same.
Isn't this like a fun, disgusting thing? Like perfumes come from glands of beavers.
All those
musky regions.
Some of them come from really weird places.
I don't know whoever designed that, but I don't trust them.
I want to know who looked at a beaver and was like, "Yeah, this guy smells great. I want to smell like this guy after he's ran 1.5 miles." Anyway, got 1/2 ounce of the hibiscus syrup. And like I said, I love using the clear glass just for this case because it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that is a
Then one of
gorgeous
the
cocktail.
sales list is lemon, just using some straight up lemon. So we got about half of an ounce of just lemon. Ooh, that's getting full.
So do you use blue curacao in yours? Because they did end up doing a little bit of blue curacao.
I do. I've just got it right here. I got to take a little bit of.
Yeah, you're running out of room there, girl.
You plan well on my sizing here.
You got that heavy-handed beaker.
Yeah, they have over at the resort. They tend to use Boyle's blue curacao.
Yes, true.
Which is
very
a little bit
true.
different. I have curacao, which is a little less sweet, so I like it. But ultimately, when you are, it's going to end up looking about the same. I will say though, if you're ever looking at some of the, ooh, that's getting full, but as it's a really gorgeous color. If you are ever, so I know normally I would stir this a heck of a lot more, but it's a little fuller than I planned it to be. So I apologize. Normally you would want to give it a really good solid stir, or in the case of making it more like the resort, a really solid shake. That's what you're going to want to do. But, oh gosh, what was I saying?
Ooh, Carrie, you have a drink question about ounces. Do you know how many ounces that pitcher / beaker looking container is in front of you? Is that like a 36, 32, 24?
Gosh. Really, if you're going to actually be mixing in it, you don't want to go past usually about 24 ounces, maybe a little less. It's not terribly big. It's really, this particular container is intended to do more of your classic style beverages, like an old fashioned or a Manhattan or something like that. So it was a bit of an experiment today to use it for this purely just to show off the color.
Yeah, that juice, that hibiscus flower looks fantastic. And I've actually made some beers way back in the day with hibiscus. Very, very tropical.
Oh, yeah.
Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Now, sadly, our hibiscus syrup here came out of almost, it looked like a pre-mixed pog juice kind of looking container. It was very uniquely colored.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing I love about how beautiful it is. The other nice thing about it is that if you make it at home and you have somebody who doesn't drink, or if you have kiddos, it makes a really, really fun thing to add into their drinks. You can throw it, like I said, into their Sprite, into soda water, into their lemonade, and it's nice. It makes them feel a little fancy.
Andrew asked a question here on what best glass to put it at home. I'm assuming you're putting it into a rocks glass.
Yeah, I put it into a rocks glass because the other glass I didn't like it as much. Throughout the resort, what I've noticed that they tend to use a lot of the generic plastic yellow cups right now because a lot of people are taking it to go through mobile order. So I think that's more of a functionality than a form thing.
Yeah.
One of the things you do want to make sure of is because you want to have a lemon for garnish, which for me is important because you get that nose of the lemon as you're drinking it. So I wouldn't put it in a Collins glass because then you're going to you're going to want to use a straw and you won't be getting as much of that lemon nose.
Yep.
So anything that you can easily sip from without using a straw and that you can still have ice in. So you want to make sure that you have a good amount of ice in there because it needs to be a decently chilled drink.
So according to Carrie, I need to toss my paper straw, which is disintegrating anyway. So,
did they put the lemon on it?
There is no lemon garnish here.
Ooh, because most of the pictures I see have a lemon garnish.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Weirdly, they normally would put on the drink menu a picture of this drink, and they do have very specific Hollywood Brown Derby specific drinks and cocktails there. This is not one of those. Like, for example, the grapefruit cake martini. So they took away that little kind of banner picture. So I guess, however the cast member wants to make it is how we get it. But I still get a lot of that lemonade. Why don't you take a sip of yours and tell me what you're tasting, and then I'll do the same for mine, and we'll kind of compare and contrast.
Sorry,
mic check.
Cat just fell over in a box.
Cat down.
So for me, the first, and partially also because I got the nose of the lemon going. I'm going to set this aside so I don't make any more of a mess. I get the lemon really strong. That's the first thing I really get is that.
Yeah, me too.
And then
I get a lot of citrus notes too. I get a lot of lime too in this one, which I think is coming from like a hibiscus, that hibiscus mix had other tropical fruits in it too. It was not just a standard singular like yours is.
Yeah.
Because I don't get that as much of like a burnt amber, real, not chartreuse, but like a not blood orange red, but yours is a really deep violet, where mine I feel like is more of the blue, you know?
Yeah. This is like, I don't get, I get.
Good call. Didn't think of that.
A little bit of the orange from the blue carousel, but mainly I get a little bit more of the hibiscus syrup.
Do you get that your almond flavor too? Just like a touch?
I'll be honest, I really don't get much of it. I wonder if it's one of those things, because I noticed that the first time I made it, is that I really didn't get much of the almond syrup. But I think it's maybe like when you have it in tiki drinks, where it's not necessarily for the sake of tasting the almond, but it's kind of that smoother between everything, like adding vanilla into cookies that aren't necessarily vanilla flavored.
Right. Correct.
Do you get any of the almond flavor?
No, I get zero of the almond flavor. I'm so dominated by tartness, lemonade, Minute Maid, and then a touch of lime.
That's interesting that you get lime. I'm gonna have to ask around about that.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just when I swallow, I'm interpreting lemon more as lime because I think it's in that syrup. I don't get a lot of hibiscus or tropical fruit notes. It's more of that citrusy dominated. And then the gin. The gin has a lot of botanicals, so I'm getting big time juniper on this as well. So that your gin can really impact the flavor. I mean, obviously yours has that cucumber vibe, which is chef's kiss on Hendrix. It's one of my favorites.
When I was looking at the ingredients, because I didn't know what gin they were using, and I have Plymouth and I have Hendrix at home right now at the time anyway. So I thought, well, looking at the ingredients, that's why I picked Hendrix. Because to me, that's what made the most sense between those. But now knowing that they go, I don't know, they might. I'm gonna have to sit there and poke around and see if different areas, which ones they might be using. Yeah,
for sure. And Gary, good question. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you, brother, you're gonna get a very different cocktail when you add pineapple here, because you're gonna get a much stronger acidity. Not so much tartness from pineapple, but I get a lot of acidity from pineapple juice in particular. But then some rich sweetness in there as well. It's not gonna make a bad cocktail. It's just gonna make a different cocktail. So if you do have a citrus allergy, feel free to make that changeover. But yeah.
You also have to keep in mind that when you're shaking pineapple, it's going to change the texture of the drink as well, because pineapple will whip up quite a bit.
Oh, so like a Dole Whip? What?
Yeah. So you might, if you are using pineapple, it might be better for the texture of your drink to stir it instead of shake it.
So, Carrie, I think you made an amazing cocktail at home. I actually think yours is probably better than mine. It's not like I'm the biggest drinker here in Disney, but there are some really, really well-made, well-crafted cocktails. I know you're not a tequila fan, and you can't have tequila, but there are plenty of vodka, gin, whiskey drinks too. I know if you're a big whiskey drinker, there is a ton. Like the adult lemonade over at Woody's Lunchbox is fantastic, which is basically just like a cherry bourbon inside of like a strawberry or a cherry lemonade, which I think is fantastic. Really masks the alcohol as well. But that violet sake is one of my favorites over at the Japanese pavilion. I think that would be a fun one for us to do, because that's my favorite drink on all of property. Which, by the way, Carrie, you and I have to link up live when you're down here. You and I will have to match some calendars. I'm always in the parks on Mondays and Wednesdays, so that would be awesome. But Carrie,
I'll send you what our schedule is, since now we have to make reservations. We have a little more of that schedule than we've had in the past.
Yeah, it gets a little wonky with the parks, but yeah, just let me know, and then I can always hop over at 2 p.m. if I'm not in the place that you're at, just so I can say hi and chat it up with you. So Carrie, I have to bring us to the geeky part, because you did. First of all, let's give it up to Carrie for making an amazing cocktail at home. You can enjoy the Beacon of Magic. I got a Beacon of Magic right behind me with the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Carrie, we were talking a little bit about history, and particularly you said you wanted to share a story about Walt. Do you want to share your Walt story? Because that would be amazing.
So one of the things that I've done a lot of weird roles for the resort. One of them I got to go. For very very many years I used to stage manage the big bands that were at the Carnation Gardens and that what later became Princess Fantasy Fair every Saturday night. Now, two of the bands had been playing there for many years. One of the guys in the band was actually, I think, at that time that I stopped doing it was 90. I think the piano player was.
That's amazing.
So a lot of them had been playing with the big bands there at night since the days that Walt was there. So one of them, he was telling me a story, and this was firsthand. He said, I just started to sub into one of their main bands playing at the Carnation Plaza at night. He said, I was only there a few times. And he said, at that point in time, because no one really monitored things, he said, the band would always be passing around the scotch in the background. There's the band sitting there, and he says, and they go, hey, here, have a drink. And he says, I'm thinking to myself, this is Disneyland. There's no alcohol here. I can't be drinking at Disneyland. Said, but everyone else is doing this. Okay, I'll have a drink. He says, so I'm sitting there having my scotch, trying to loosen up a little bit, not be worried about it. And the door flies open. And he says, and it's Walt with 2 security guards. And he says, my first thought is, I'm fired. Fired? That's Walt. I am so screwed. And he looks at me and looks at the security guards and says, see, I told you, this is where you find the good scotch.
Oh, Walt.
And that is a first-hand story, so I know that it's got to be true.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's so funny, right? Because we don't get to see a lot of Walts Vices. You get to see a handful of them in, Saving Mr. Banks, which is great Tom Hanks iteration of Walt Disney, which is fantastic. But you get to see some of his vices a little bit more than you normally do, because we all have this very showmanship. I think, what's so amazing about Walt is his use of television to promote his projects before they come to life. So as an entrepreneur, he became the face of the company so many times by teaching people before attractions, before movies came to light. And he used TV as an amazing medium. If Walt was alive, homeboy would have like 20 million followers on TikTok. He would crush it on there. Because he just knew how to manipulate and utilize media of the time, and he really captured a huge audience. I was watching a really good Behind the Attraction, and it was talking about It's a Small World and how he got funding for. I'd follow. Who wouldn't follow Walt's TikTok? Could you imagine him doing trends? But they were talking about the World's Fair and just how he was able to secure funding and how important it was for that to go off successfully for New York. It was really integral. So it was super unique.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to remember that the World's Fair, because of what he did through that, it drastically changed the entire course of Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, because we got actual large capacity attractions, because the Omni Mover came out of the Ford's motor car, turned into the People Mover, turned into Omni Mover style attractions.
I'll pause you for a moment on that one. Those are two separate different. The People Mover came from what's called a linear induction motor, which was on the Ford Magic Skyway. But the the Omni Mover actually came from something that Walt saw at an entirely different pavilion.
Oh, there's like a separate booth that was utilizing that.
Yeah, and he said, wow, this is really great. I want to utilize this for, Adventures Through Inner Space. His big issue with it was, though, that it was really jerky, and he didn't like the fact it was jerky. Apparently, the phrasing he used was, I want this to be so smooth, I can drink a martini while I'm on the ride.
Dude, Walt was a real booze bag.
I think it was Bob Gurr who said that. And so that is where then they went, hey, this is a really great ride system. Because the huge issue that they always had with Haunted Mansion was, how do we get all of these people through this attraction? Because as a walkthrough, it's not going to work.
Well, because originally the Haunted Mansion was supposed to be a walkthrough, but they just couldn't figure out, one, it was going to be really challenging to move through a large capacity, but secondary, they were also worried a lot about guests wandering, taking too long, vandalism, all of those things. And I forget which Imagineer saw the apple on the desk and was like, that should be the...
Walker saw it, I think it was on John Hench's desk.
Okay. So, yeah, just unbelievable. But yeah, you're right with It's a Small World being our large boat capacity attractions, which... Honestly, earlier today, just a fun fact, I was in Magic Kingdom and the ride time was 35 minutes on Pirates. I was on the ride with 18 minutes and off the ride in 10. So, I mean, it just consumes people when it's really, really crushing and working fast. It's just one of those great ride systems that can churn and burn through people is these big boats. That's one of my biggest gripes about Navi River Journey. If they would have just made that not a 3 or 4 seater that can only fit 3 people across, if that was a Pirates or a Grand Fiesta or a Living with the Land or a Small World sized boat, everybody could ride Navi River Journey under 30 minutes. But because of budgets. The
first time I went on it, that's what blew my mind. I got on it and went,
why would they do this ride system?
Why is this so small?
Yeah, it's so silly, and it's obviously budget constraints because you could clearly put track-wise, you could fit that in there. It's just they elected to do a different ride system. So
here's my weird story about Navi River Journey. I don't know. Because it's been a while since I've talked through the logistics. They ended up using a lot of people who do voices and stuff like that in the parks. I guess they did a lot of recording of them to use as background voices for that attraction itself.
Interesting.
Because I know a couple of guys who did it.
Like so transportation kind of things? Like, what do you mean in terms of they do voices in the parks?
Like
what kind of attractions are you talking about?
The background, the Navi people kind of running around. Those are voices of people who do voices within the parks.
Okay.
One of them is good friends with Crush.
Oh, cool.
And another one is a gentleman by the name of Isaac who is a Dapper Dan, who also is the voice of all of the festivals, the California Adventure.
Oh, okay.
And is also for the parks is the stand-in voice after Chadwick Boseman passed away. He's the voice of Black Panther within the parks.
Very cool. I didn't know that.
Same guy kind of does all these weird little things.
Carrie, I always learn new things with you. You are. I also learn. Well, listen. That's par for the course here on the Rad Tea Party. We do all kinds of. I actually almost ate it the other day, Carrie. I was on the Wilderness Lodge. This was like a couple weeks ago before Christmas, and there's like a little curb that goes out to this kind of like viewing platform right over the porte-cochere. And I'd never seen this before. Well, there was like a curb this big, just where the doorway passageway is. You can't see that. It's not painted yellow. And of course, I'm streaming. I almost ate it real bad.
You'd be amazed how often we have people just totally eat it while streaming.
Oh yeah.
Happens
oh yeah, for sure.
All the time. So you know what? If you do, you're in good company.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right, hang on. I'm not changing. I want to change camera real quick because I want to move us to a front-facing camera so we can see some of the other things in the parks while streaming around here. This is always so annoying. For some reason, when you go landscape, it gets real weird and you can't exit out of the settings. So let me just flip this back. And we're alive and well. So we're on Sunset Ave, right by Sunset Ranch Market. So I might as well, considering we made the magical beacon, let's go check out the magical beacon.
Oh, I guess we're so excited.
Yeah, it's so you kind of missed some of the fun. I do have a video on YouTube of it when they were doing the Christmas stuff, but we still do get this overlay. Oh, thank you. And what I love about this magical beacon is they created the Tip Top Club, which, Carrie, do you know the Tip Top Club?
Oh yeah, well, it's one of those things that I always wish we would have opened. I'm like, man, that was a That was a missed opportunity there, I always felt.
Oh, tell me about it. They should have totally made that a real restaurant and a bar. People would pay lots of money to go there.
Oh, yeah. Like, I always
Fantasmic.
thought, like, you could go and do something like Space 220, how they put you in an
Yeah,
elevator.
Right.
And it could
Totally
be
fake,
just
but
behind it.
yeah, people would love it. People would absolutely love it. So, Fantasmic, I heard word on the street is February is coming back. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that would be pretty incredible. But our Tip Top Club is right up here. So this little tiny building structure here. Whoa, the projector just flashed on and off. I've never seen that happen before. But you'll occasionally see people dancing up in that. There they are. They're dancing right now. They're small, but they're right there, which is so, so cool. Oh no, Allison. Hey, Allison, don't worry. I got you covered. I'll send you another free shirt to take care of your stained up one. No worries. I absolutely love that they made the Tip Top Club so you can go dancing up there. And if you actually are in the gift shop of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, there is a little sign for it in the gift shop. The stream will cut out for it, but when you exit, it's actually on your back. As soon as you get into the gift shop, it's behind you, but it says Tip Top Club, and you see a couple dancing, and it's a social and luncheon club. Allie, stop. It's all good. Listen, I want you to be happy, and I'm sorry that that happened, but no worries.
You know, someday I always know that whenever I go through that gift shop, it's just like you hear that giant sucking sound to your wallet.
Well, I have a problem with a lot of Disney places, but ever since moving here, it's a question of is it a need it or a want it, and almost everything is a want it. I don't need it, so I've bought less and less, and prices have been going up like crazy. Like Wishables used to be $10, so $9.99, and you could get them for $8 with annual pass discount. Now they're $14.99.
That's insane.
No bueno, Carrie.
I miss the what are they? The Tsum Tsums. I love because they were so inexpensive, and so they were like the best thing to get kids.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like even at the Poly, right? They used to have where you could get a wife, a husband, and kiddos clothes that would all match. They haven't done that for probably about 2 seasons, and I don't know. It's just like it bums me out because some of that stuff, like dressing up as a whole family, I don't know. We used to do that as kids, and or at least characters, and I don't know. That's me just being nostalgic, I guess.
See, I can never get my husband to wear match. The closest thing we ever had to matching outfits is we had shirts that his said veggie and mine said fruit. That was the closest thing we've ever had to matching outfits.
Yeah. Well, I don't really do matching. Oh, that's not true. We dressed up like Descendants 3 for Halloween. The girls were Mal and I forget the other character, and then Mel was Aubrey and I was Hades. Can't believe I'm forgetting the other name, but yeah. Even my belly's inflected. But Justin, I think that's a more of a personal decision than inflation. You need shrinkflation.
We all have a little bit of that problem post the lockdown.
I know. I've actually been doing really, really well. Eating wise, I haven't been crazy in the parks. I've been very, very reasonable, where in the past I would just go crazy, absolutely crazy. If you didn't know, here's a good hack. If you ever lose a balloon, the cast members will just replace it for you. It's like one of those simple things that I think not a lot of people think of it. If a balloon pops or a balloon goes flying up in the atmosphere, the cast members will take care of you. Same with toys. We had a Tinkerbell wand that broke, and they'll replace it. You just bring the broken one. No receipt needed, any of that stuff. Just bring it back, and the cast members will instantly replace it, which is really, really nice.
That's one thing that's nice is that even though a lot of the stuff is really expensive, they have a really fantastic return policy.
Yeah, which they, it's a nicety that I'm glad hasn't gone away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, some Hollywood Studios fun facts. Let's geek out for a hot second. Now, you're a California lady, Miss Carrie.
Yes.
And the Crossroads is over in LA, right?
Yeah.
So this is an actual 1-for-1 on the Crossroads, which it's like an outdoor mall. Is that what it is?
I haven't been there. Here's the funny thing about LA. LA is kind of like New York City in the fact that you're all about it or you want nothing to do with it.
Well, from that
there's
messaging,
no middle ground. Myself, I'm one of those people. I'm not a fan of LA.
Yeah, I was going to say from that messaging, you have zero
avoid
interest.
it at all costs.
Okay,
I go into LA for one reason, and that is to go see a show. Because a lot of the big Broadway musicals are done out in LA. So if you want to go see them, you have to go out to those theaters. But if I'm not going to a show, you have to give me a really good reason to go to LA. And just as time has gone on, it's kind of the area has kind of gone downhill quite a bit.
Sure.
So it's one of those, it's you don't really go to a lot of places out there at night, for one. And it's just a pain also to get out there as well. If you don't live in LA, yeah, California's crazy. I will agree.
Fair enough.
If you don't live in LA, it's a really long drive to go through all of the freeways and everything like that. Like if I were to drive to LA with no traffic, I'm looking at an hour and a half minimum.
Yeah, that's a haul.
Yeah.
But this Crossroads is a 1-for-1 built replica of the Crossroads of the world, which is in LA. The only difference is we do have a Mickey up here, and the fun fact is his right ear is made out of copper because he is a lightning rod. So just so we don't zap any of our guests here at Hollywood Studios, we have a nice Mickey lightning rod. And then
what's a fun parallel between Disney World and Disneyland is Disney World has areas that are designed to catch lightning. So kind of, you'll see around it is a little bit open.
Yeah.
And then the whatever that they're using as lightning rod is higher up and usually made of copper. Disneyland has kind of a similar thing in that we have areas that are intended for when we have earthquakes, that around it, it's a little bit more open so that if there is an earthquake, nothing falls on you.
Yeah, I think, well, not like I'd like to get struck by lightning or have things fall on me, but well, I think I'd rather deal with storms than your San Andreas fault, but that's just me personally. Are you used to earthquakes? Do you deal with them at all where you live or no?
I think you're just used to it. I think it's like anything else. It doesn't unless it's major enough that, something broke in your house.
Right.
The earth shakes and you go, all right.
Yeah, I guess it's like hurricanes.
Make sure that you still have cell service and that your power didn't go out. And if so, then you just move on.
I think it's very similar to Floridians and hurricanes.
Yeah.
Hurricanes, if you get a level 3 hurricane, nobody cares. Nobody's doing anything. It's when the Waffle House closes, which is our 24-hour, like almost diner-esque waffle shop. It's like super, super junk food. But when that closes, it's bad because it never closes. Here is where we made that cocktail is from here, the Hollywood Brown Derby, which is in California. I actually think they had multiple locations, either in the 50s or 60s when it opened.
The one that is the famous one that everybody thinks of that looks like an actual derby closed down many years ago. And has been a couple things since, but it's weird because the rim of the hat is gone, but the dome is still there.
Interesting.
So it's been a couple things since its closure. But yeah, I think I believe, don't quote me on this one, I think there were 3 locations.
Yeah, I know there were multiple when I was doing research on this, because I just saw different pictures of different areas that had them, which is interesting. The cafe, which I went, or the bar, has it been waffle? Wait, what? Has it been a Waffle House? I mean, the Brown Derby? Dude, I would go to it if the Brown Derby turned into a Waffle House. So this little bar area is right here if you don't feel like going inside. You can also get in this lounge area. Here's a good hack if you can't get a reservation, but you want a Cobb salad, which is arguably the best thing on the menu. The burger is quite good too, but it's super, super messy. The brioche just rips apart with that fresh egg. but you can eat all that stuff right on the lounge. But what is really cool about the Brown Derby is it has original photos from the Brown Derby. They are in a gold frame inside the restaurant. So it's portraits of actors and actresses. And then they also have, there is a picture of Rin Tin Tin and a Chip and Dale, which are the only animals that are in here. So most of the portraits along the sides are in silver frames, but along right by the kitchen, like dead center here, if you entered into the restaurant, it's all gold frames. Those are from the original restaurant. And then if you're a geek for things like Club 33, like I am, go inside here. There's a restroom right here if you need a good restroom. That's actually a really quiet one, good hack if you want to get away from crowds. But there is Club 33 is right up there. So there's a little elevator. You scan your magic band if you spend $33,000, and you can go to Club 33. Yeah, and that Cobb salad is insane. It is so good. It's delicious.
Yeah, this trip we're going to try to make a goal of, because usually we do a lot more sit downs, but we're going to try and make a goal of instead eating a lot more, like sharing a lot of meals here and there to try more places, and that's on the list of just sharing the Cobb salad for the sake of getting to go more places.
It's so good, and it's very refreshing. That's the best way, because there's a lot of citrus in it too, and and the avocado, it's wonderful. It's a very light meal, and those that have been here in the summertime, like the last thing you need is a heavy sitting meal over at like when it's 9,500 degrees. So other thing, here's some fun stuff, and I agree, the Cobb salad changed my life. It's one of the best things I've had on the menu. Grapefruit cake, slightly overrated though. A lot of people really enjoy it, not for me. This is a facsimile. They call it the Chinese Theater though, because they never got licensing for Grauman's Chinese Theater. This is a spot one-on-one replica of Grauman's Chinese Theater. And in fact, it was so good because they made, remember this opened in 1989, right? 89? Or was it 80?
It was
88,
it was in the
89?
80s. I can't remember exact year, but it was the 80s.
Yeah, I think it was in 89. So when this opened, they actually used the blueprints of Grauman's Theater, but they upgraded everything so that it was to code. So when they refurbed the actual Grauman's Theater, they asked Disney for their blueprints so that they could upgrade it to code, which I think is pretty cool. But they never got the licensing rights, so that's why, even though this is identical to Grauman's Theater, it is just called the Chinese Theater, or Hollywood Chinese Theater, which, fun fact, I heard we may be getting a name change for Hollywood Studios.
I keep hearing that too. I've been hearing it for a while. The first person I actually heard to break that was DSNY Newscast. And if you ever want to know somebody who is always 100% spot on, DSNY, I don't think he's ever been wrong.
Well, I have a feeling I know what the name is going to be because I saw a list of potential names, not like that means anything. One of them is actually right over here. It's the Hyperion Theater. So it's going to be Disney's Hyperion Park. I don't think that's going to be it. I actually think they're going to use Cinemagic, which, if you didn't realize, there's a little bit of history with MGM. So when this originally opened as Disney's MGM, it's actually a really bad deal for MGM because they utilized Hollywood Studios as a legit, yes, Disney's Cinemagic Park. So they used the property here because they didn't have a lot of space in California. It was super, super expensive to actually build a studio. So roughly about 40% of Hollywood Studios was an active studio, not only for animation, but also for live action features. So they filmed them here on this property because they had all this property and they didn't want to build it in California because it was just so expensive for land. And so MGM, though, was a competing house to Disney, and they were able to get a really, really good licensing deal back in 1985. And the CEO of MGM was really, really ticked about it. They actually sued Disney, and Disney sued them back because they opened an MGM Adventure Park in Las Vegas, which was over by kind of like the Flamingo area on the Strip, which operated for over 20 years. But apparently Disney claimed that they were the only ones to use MGM in a theme park fashion, even though it was a terrible deal for everybody because MGM was a competing house. That's why we changed to Hollywood Studios in the first place. But I do imagine we will be Cinemagic at some point. I don't know why we're going away from Hollywood, but no let's say.
One of my inside of what used to be Great Movie Ride, the area that was
I'll get up
Sorcerer's
close.
Apprentice.
Uh-huh.
Originally, that was supposed to be the tornado scene from Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And it was supposed to, because it connects you into going into that next room that's, obviously Wizard of Oz. That was supposed to be the big tornado scene, which is why that's such kind of a weird looking room. But to me, until I found this out, I always thought this room looks so bizarre and so unfinished. It's because it was literally unfinished. And then MGM said, wait a minute, you're only allowed to use X amount from the movie.
So they held them to only that one IP scene.
So they ended up making it Sorcerer's Apprentice because they went, well, the room's already built. And that's why, if you ever thought, wow, this room is kind of janky and ghetto, which I thought for a long time, I was like, but you have all these beautiful immersive rooms. Then you get to that one and it's like, but that's why it's so janky.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually do really, really miss the Great Movie Ride. It was a fantastic attraction. Also, here's a hack for you, or just information. I've noticed with individual lightning lanes, when you pay for them, especially at the end of the night, right now it's saying it's a 35-minute wait, which actually looks like it's probably closer to a 20-minute wait. But what will jam you up is the individual lightning lanes. So when people who pay to get on this attraction and it starts getting closer to park close, everybody rushes in because they don't want to waste their money. So right now we are at 40 minutes until park close. So what happens is the individual lightning lane people get preference and you end up kind of getting stuck behind them. I used to always come on this ride very, very last minute and jump in the queue because it was a super, super easy way to ride it with no line. But sadly, that is gone now with the lightning lane. You can still do that on things like Slinky Dog because that's not an individual lightning lane. But I've noticed even on Frozen Ever After in Epcot, they actually closed the queue basically right around Harmonious, which was the perfect time to jump on that if you wanted a walk-on for Frozen Ever After, because people are utilizing those individual lightning lanes, which totally, totally stinks. But it's the truth. Yeah, it's a reality that I used to be able to hack and get around, but not so much now. And you'll just see this jams. Like all these people are running in to race and that just sets all these people back. So you're probably looking closer towards an hour. Tonight though, after this, I'm going to live stream on TikTok the two of my favorite shows. So Carrie, if you get the opportunity when you are here, please do not miss these shows. They are not listed in the My Disney Experience app unless you pull up the map and look at entertainment. The first one at 8:40, so park closes at 9. 8:40 is the wonderful, it's like movie magic, and it's all these like movie montage live action. Very, very good. It's not a fireworks show. It's more of a projection show. And then the fireworks show, which nobody talks about, and it's such a shame, is where do you see a lightsaber? It's not a lightsaber. That's a cast member, unless I missed it. What's such a shame is nobody talks about this. It's the Wonderful World of Animation, which is at 9 o'clock. I think it's the best 50th show because it actually has Walt quotes in it and Steamboat Willie, where all the other ones, Enchantment, Harmonious, are missing those elements of it all started with a mouse. And it always tears me up because you get to hear Walt speak, and it's just such a sweet, sweet way to end a night at Studios. Everybody thinks about Enchantment and Harmonious, but if you're here and you're going to close out Studios, there's two great shows from 8:40, basically all the way up until 9:15. And then when you walk outside, you get a little taste of Harmonious because it'll still be going off in the parking lot.
Yeah, I had heard really good things about them. I was kind of let down when, with both of it, with Harmonious and Enchantment, I went, the fact that here we are celebrating the history and heritage of the park, and neither of them really had much of a strong reference to our history or our legacy or anything like, I just thought we would have had a little bit more of that sprinkled in there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of legacy, which is weird. I would have loved, honestly, for Magic Kingdom to had both Walt and Roy speaking, because you got to remember that Roy brought it over the goal line for his brother. That's the reason why we don't call this Disney World. We call it Walt Disney World as a memorandum for Walt's passing, which Roy wanted to make sure that his legacy was preserved. That's why we have Disneyland, and this is Walt Disney World. It's not just Disney World, which originally the original name was Disney World.
Because Walt was literally designing Disney World up until the moment he died. You know,
Yeah.
he was laying in the hospital telling his brother, you know, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. I'll be back in a couple days.
Yeah, it's sad, man. He was a longtime smoker, and lung cancer sadly got the best of him. And Roy only lasted, I think, 2 years after Walt Disney World opener. It was less. What was it, 6 months or something?
Yeah, but it was a couple months, less than a year. It was only a couple months.
Think about like how much stress to make this happen. You know what I mean? It's so sad. You know, I'm sure that was a big impact point. This is something I've never done, and my kids would never want to go into it because they're not like that crazy about Vampirina or Doc McStuffins, but I've heard really good things about the dance party. Justin asked a question, did they still do any kind of exhibits? Yep, there are exhibits. We don't have any of the meet and greets, but what I will say is this whole entire area, so let me spin around, the dance party, launch bay, and Little Mermaid. This is ripe for complete teardown or repurpose. Like this desperately, now that, you know, I mean, Star Wars launch bay, made perfect sense without Batuu. But now that we have Batuu, this is completely just primo space to be able to put an attraction over here. And in fact, there was rumor that the Great Movie Ride was going to be saved and Runaway Railway would be over here, but that was for naught. But this would be such a great utilized. I don't even know what the IP would be. Probably be something new school that I don't really, you know, it's probably like a Marvel thing or something because there's no real Marvel attractions over here. And I know we're limited on the amount of Marvel that we could do here, but something like that I'm sure would probably fit pretty well on the things that they're promoting nowadays.
Because the launch bay over in Disneyland is now officially closed.
Okay.
And that is actually where part of my new headquarters is for my department.
Oh.
So I feel it's officially closed because
you work there. Because you work there. Yeah. If you're a big popcorn fan, this used to have it still has the mouse droid, but on the other one, they had the Millennium Falcon. There's also the Mickey one as well, which is very cool. And in fact, I just saw a Disney, it was either a reel for Disney Parks or it was a TikTok showing the mouse droid celebrating Popcorn Day. And what is that? It's not Scat Cats. That's beignets. Katsaka's popcorn station over in Galaxy's Edge. You actually have some really new food over in Galaxy's Edge. I don't know if you tried it. The new noodles that they have over there. It's like a spicy noodle dish.
Oh yeah.
And then
I have not been able to get into to have an opportunity to go over and get them. Because it used to be really nice because we used to be able to, hey, I'm off work. I used to be able to go in and do something or get something. But our reservations are just like yours. We have to make them ahead of time.
Yep.
We can't make them day of. So I have not had the chance to go in and get anything yet. Mm-hmm. But I've been hearing from a lot of people that those noodles are ridiculous.
I've heard they're very spicy to be spicy. I have some good friends who, there's not a lot of capsaicin burn or flavor spice in a lot of Disney food. They make it more toned down. But apparently those are bringing the fire and heat. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's pretty unique. And then they have that cold brew with the Cocoa Puffs in it, which is a new Galaxy's Edge drink as well.
I feel like
what's up, Figgy?
I'm trying to just, because my brain's kind of a little bit of a jumble these last few weeks because work has been a little bizarre. But have you had the cold brew with the Cocoa Puffs?
So we don't have it here. And in fact, we didn't even have for Life Day any of the Oga's snacks that they were doing for that one day or cocktails. I actually got an Oga's reservation hoping. We did get Life Day merch, but we didn't get any of the snacks, food, or drinks, which you guys had, which I was a little bit jelly burdened over. Not going to lie.
So I'm looking at this cold brew and I'm thinking, this is...
They do not.
This shouldn't be that exciting. It's cold brew with Cocoa Puffs. But then you have it and you kind of mix it together and you get like that cereal milk thing happening.
Oh, yeah. Totally good. I like cereal milk.
It was so insane that I told my niece, I said, okay, next time we go, we're getting this. It's bizarre, but you have to try it. She's like, all right, Cocoa Puffs, whatever. And she tried it. She's like, oh my gosh, this is legitimately good. Oh, now I'm really sad we don't have it.
I know, we don't have it. But that's okay. Joffrey's has a Cocoa Puffs drink. I've heard it's lackluster, but, you know, we also have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch one. I think there's a Fruity Pebbles one and a Lucky Charms drink now for Festival of the Arts. So if I'm really feeling cereal coffee, I can get my fix over at the International Festival of the Arts, a.k.a. iFarts over. Yeah, God.
I want to know who didn't think through.
Oh, I'm so happy they didn't think through.
Well, here, okay, okay, because I know we are a family show, so I'm not going to say the. Oh, okay.
Ready? Here, I'll
do blue or green milk. I had it. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I
not a
tried
fan.
Both of them, and the description my niece had, I think, was the best. She says, "This tastes like how I always imagined Bath and Body Works would taste."
You know what? I honestly think they taste a lot like Trix cereal. You know, I get like super, super citrusy notes. They're not great though. That plant milk is super, super thick. So, and it doesn't thin out. It's just really, really thick. So you got to be into it. I think the rum with the blue milk is not as good as the tequila green, which you wouldn't necessarily try. But honestly, I'm not a fan. I never, ever get the milks. I think they're just okay. Was it fun, you know, to drink Bantha and whatever? Mark, help me out here. Geekify me with the green milk from the latest Star Wars trilogy where he's drinking. He freaks out Rey as he climbs down a cliff and drinks from that.
Scene.
Oh, it's a terribly awkward scene,
It's
but
so
also amazingly incredible. Oh, it's a full moon. All the wackos are going to be out tonight. I'm excited. What was I going to say?
There's a slightly different recipe from Disney World to Disneyland or maybe it's just even what we prefer. Because I know a lot of Disney World people who are all about that blue milk or the green milk, but I don't know anyone Disneyland side that is particularly fond of it. So if anybody could chime in on that.
I'm just cutting in. It's called a moof.
Mark answered the animal is called a moof.
Moof.
It's a moof. Which, Mark, interestingly enough, we do have moof juice here, which is more of kind of like a passion fruit guava poggy flavor over at either Docking Bay 7 or Ronto Roasters. I can't remember. Which, speaking of which, Book of Boba Fett, did you guys see the Nunas?
Yeah.
How awesome was it?
Okay,
We
so
got to see Nunas.
No spoilers.
Sorry. All right. Sorry. Nothing about Nunas. No worries. I know we're running up against time, Mark. So
no,
we'll
I was
cut
just going to say as a shameless
two things
plug,
real quick. One, if you ever need a really quiet restroom, right over here by the Hyperion. Even if you're waiting for Frozen Ever After, it's right over here. Nice little hack. It's very, very clean and almost seldom used. It's just because it's kind of like hidden in a weird spot. And then the other thing that I saw James mention, Monsters, Inc., Laugh Floor, and Alien Swirling Saucers. Just think of those acronyms. And that's it for me. So, yeah, let's close this bad boy out. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie, it's really good to see you. This is like,
Good to see you too.
we haven't talked in a long time, and this was really a great conversation. I love the fact that you made your own hibiscus syrup, and you did a fantastic job on the cocktail. Your cocktail was easily better than mine. Mine was more gin heavy than anything, which is fine. I know people like heavy hands on that kind of stuff. But thank you for joining us, Carrie. And please, everybody follow Carrie at Cosplay Kitchen. And
Cosplay Kitchen on YouTube. If you're looking it up on Instagram, it'll show up as Cosplaycooking Show because
right. So Cosplay Kitchen, Cosplay Cooking Show IG, Cosplay Kitchen on YouTube. And
welcome to the world's most magical celebration.
Sorry, we're getting close. We got about like 8 minutes or so until the movies one comes on. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody from TikTok, everybody from This Diz Life. Thank you so much for joining us on the Rad Tea Party. So much fun here. Like, subscribe, both us, This Diz Life. Let's go enchanting vacations with Lori. Kick it off. Mark, be my Valentine. Love you, dude. And Carrie, thank
This
you
Diz
so
Life
much
podcast is brought to you by Enchanting Escapes by Lori. Lori is here to help you plan your next getaway and create memories that will last a lifetime. No matter where you want to go, if that's Disney, Universal, Sandals, or another amazing destination, Lori can help you get there. Leave the details to Lori and enjoy the beauty of your destination without the hassle of the planning. Lori's services are at no additional charge. So head over to Enchanting Escapes by Lori and get a free quote while taking advantage of some of the amazing features of the website: resort walking tours, blogs, free downloads, and Magic Maker recipe videos to keep the magic alive throughout the year. Mention promo code ThisDizLife for an extra dose of magic and start planning your dream vacation today at www.enchantingescapesbylori.com.